Should Kyle Whittingham just call it quits? There can't be a coach, whether he'd admit it publicly or not, more frustrated or a fan base more frustrated than Kyle Whittingham in Utah over the last 2 seasons. Without question, every single piece of Utah's teams in the last 2 years have been good enough in 2 different leagues to push for a conference championship. They were my preseason pick to win the Big 12. You know why? I thought Cam Rising might play football. It turns out he may need to look into professionally working in a glass menagerie so he could be surrounded by his people. He can't stay healthy, and it sucks because he's a really good player. And I know he's played. Like, he played on Friday against Arizona State. Anybody who's watched Cam Rising play before, did that look anything, and I mean anything, like the guy who won back-to-back conference championships in the 2021 and 22 seasons? Did it look anything like that? Because even though he got over the finger deal, whatever that was, he then goes into the game, he gets his ankle rolled up on, and he is just throwing ducks out there. It reminds me of Peyton Manning at the end of his career. There's just no juice. There's no life on the ball. It's just the walking mannequin version of what once was a really good quarterback. So for the second straight year, Utah is a quarterback away. I picked them to win the Big 12 this year because I thought Cam Rising was back. If you take him out, it's a different team. Oklahoma State still lost to Isaac Wilson, by the way. But I'm just looking at this Utah team and saying, Kyle Whittingham's got to be tearing his hair out going, oh my gosh. I got to answer questions every week about Cam's health. I got to answer questions with my medical staff about what he can and can't do. I got to answer questions in my own mind about should we go to a backup quarterback. And here's the other question for Kyle Whittingham. Do you have the quarterback of the future on the roster? I mean, Isaac Wilson has showed glimpses. He could be good in time. Do you want to go through the growing pains? He's already named his head coach in waiting. That's Morgan Scalley, the defensive coordinator. Does this feel in that Utah quarterback room like there's a quick fix, like they're 1 season away? They're 1 player away. If you can pony up NIL dollars, there are guys that are really capable in the transfer portal every single offseason. That hasn't been the Utah way, though Cam Rising, of course, was notably a transfer once upon a time. So it's not as if they haven't done that before. But do they want to go with Isaac Wilson? What do they think? Like, being 1 quarterback away for the last 2 seasons now has to drive you nuts. And if you don't see a quarterback in the transfer portal that catches your eye, or if you can't come up with enough NIL dollars to get the caliber of player that you need to take this program back to a conference championship level, are you willing to go through mentoring, guiding, and learning the strengths and weaknesses of a young quarterback in 2025? How many more years do you think Kyle Whittingham wants to coach? I don't think you name your head coach in waiting if you're willing to do more than 3 at the absolute max. And I just, it's got to be wearing on him. When you make the same mistake over and over on the golf course, drives you insane. But you can control that. You can fix that and make an adjustment. I don't know that there's a great solution here. And that's why I look at Kyle Whittingham and the Utes and say, full credit to Arizona State, by the way. Arizona State, good football team. Kenny Dillingham, he's got the boys cooking down there in Tempe. Better look out. Told you not to pick them last this season in the Big 12. Said that was ridiculous. They're even better than I thought. Utah is way worse than I thought, but only at the one position. They've got a number 1 receiver in Dorian Singer for the first time. They've got a ridiculously talented tight end. They are great in the trenches on both sides of the ball. They still play good defense. They just need a quarterback. They just need one. This is the deepest quarterback league in the conference. Heck, if they had Sam Leavitt from Arizona State, I think Utah wins that football game. But Cam Rising is not the same guy. He just isn't. He's not capable, tragically, of being at 100% on a regular basis. And I don't know how much longer Kyle Whittingham wants to put up with that. So I wonder if he doesn't look at that game Friday night and go, yeah, I mean, okay, let's see what we can do this season, but I'm tired of trying to figure this out because clearly he doesn't have the answer. And I don't know that there's a quick fix. So you don't know who's going to go in the portal. Are you going to bank on that? Is Kyle Whittingham going to bank on that? Is that his preferred option? I don't know. Time will tell. So speaking of the Big 12, with Utah out of the way, and Kansas Jayhawks going back to a bottom dweller in the Big 12, Lance Leipold will be fine, but might take a couple seasons to build things back up. This is a very disappointing season for Kansas football because myself and many others, Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12, Joel Cloud of Fox Sports, thought Kansas could be a team with a decently workable schedule that gets to the Big 12 championship game. Well, that's not going to happen. Not even close. But with Utah out of the way and Kansas out of the way, who do you trust most to fill that void? I think Texas Tech is the most overlooked team in the Big 12 right now because they have been playing some consistently good football. And the last time you saw Texas Tech play, it might have been, depending on which time zone you live in, Week 2 against Washington State. They went up to Pullman and they got beat bad, 37-16. In the first 2 games against Abilene Christian and Washington State, which I consider a Power 4 team, by the way, you gave up 51 and 37 points. That's not great. Not a good look for Tim DeRuyter's defense. Since then, 21, 22, 41 against Cincinnati. That's not ideal. And 22. This offense is exactly what I expected it to be. You've got a great running back. You've got a talented quarterback. You've got pass catchers. You just need to play solid defense. That's it. And Texas Tech's schedule, listen to this. Baylor. That's a win. Baylor. What a mess. At TCU, they don't play any defense. At Iowa State, game of the year in the Big 12? Could be. Outside of the Holy War, of course. Colorado at home. At Oklahoma State, host West Virginia. Is that a gauntlet? Is that the worst Big 12 schedule you could possibly come up with that is so difficult that you can't be expected to navigate it without losing at least 2 games? Like, no. Not if Texas Tech plays the way they're capable of. Not if the defense is just serviceable. You give up 25 points or fewer, Texas Tech has an excellent chance to win the football game. The only team to hold them under 25 points this year is Washington State. And by the way, the defense has improved. The offense has improved as well. So Iowa State and BYU, rightfully so, are getting their flowers. They're 6-0. They're ranked inside the top 15. Iowa State is inside the top 10 in the country. Josh Pate's got to be going crazy seeing that happen in real time. But I wouldn't overlook Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech and Arizona State have a very legitimate case to be ranked in the AP Top 25. Well, Spencer, who would you rank them over? Who would you? Well, Army and Navy are in there for starters. Michigan's in there. There you go. I mean, what has Michigan done this season? They've got 2 losses, one of which to a Washington team that just got blasted by Iowa. They did beat Minnesota by 3. They did beat USC by 3. They did beat Arkansas State by 10. They got run off their own field by Texas, and they struggled with Fresno State, pulled away at the end. Now, the Minnesota game wasn't as close as 27-24 would have you believe, but that's kind of where it got to. But you asked me who I'd rank there? Yep. Who's got the more impressive resume? Answer, I'm going Texas Tech. I'm going Arizona State. I'll rank them above those teams. I got no problem saying that whatsoever because Michigan hasn't been all that impressive. And Army-Navy, great that they're 6-0. I don't know that if they played Arizona State and Texas Tech schedule, if Army and Navy would be 6-0. 6-0 and 5-0, respectively. The Knights are 6-0, the midshipmen at 5-0. And you know what? Good for them. It's awesome. They're G5 playoff contenders right now. That's an awesome thing to see. But everyone would always say, well, who would you put them in front of? Pick 2 out of those 3, and I'd be just fine with it. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. Until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.